okay, do you want some behind the scenes?
Yeah.
This is good. These guys, Ed and Scott King, they can all appreciate this. In fact, one of the guys told me this is called the Vietnam moment. Intrigued? Okay, so in the middle of this interview, or right before this interview, we had a Vietnam moment. Okay? Here's what happened. So, this was originally scheduled to be a pre-taped interview, but accommodating the president's schedule, that was scheduled to take place at 2:30 Central Time, 3:30 Eastern Time. That meant, and we had about 20 minutes allotted with the president. And that meant we had 10 minutes to turn in TV, it's called turn. So they ingest it, they feed it back onto live TV, to turn that before my show started at 3 Central, 4 Eastern. Okay, well, I knew immediately. I knew, because I've been on this. This is not my first rodeo.
Yeah.
I'm like, there is no way that this goes off at 2:30. There's no way. Central Time. And so we start putting plans in place, and those plans have to have multiple options depending on what time the president shows up. And I'm telling you, these plans were being put into place in 5-minute increments until the show started. For me, live in Iowa. And I am working with the president's team, who was very accommodating and fluid, right? But the president came into the restaurant. He went into a separate part of the restaurant where there was a ton of tables. I knew he was going to love it, and he did. And he stayed longer than he scheduled. He's talking to people. He's hanging out. And so now the plan is, okay, we will pre-tape half, and we'll start the show live with him. So we'll start our conversation at 2:50, and then the first half will be live, and then we'll run the second half pre-taped, which is a little awkward because I'm actually, the first part of my conversation, the audience is seeing second. Right? That's a little awkward. Well, and then I asked the president's team, if he comes in here 5 minutes before my show, will he wait the 5 minutes for us to just do this entire thing live? And they said, yeah, he will. Thank you. Okay, so the camera dudes all showed up early that morning, and they've got 4 cameras. There's cables going everywhere.
No.
2 seats.
Oh, no.
We all know where the president is going to stand. We know he has his favorite side. So, by the way, I like the same side as him. That's the side of the couch that I sat on Fox and Friends, but that's the president's side. Okay, so I'm going to sit on the other side. And so it's all set up. And you guys have been to one of these productions before. I mean, there's lights, and I love the camera guys. I do. I love them. They're all perfectionists, okay? They're like, is he got the halo light and the backlight? And it's just so much going on, okay? And I'm like, I don't care, and then the makeup, but I do want to look good. And that's what they always can come back to me with. You want to look good, right? Like, yeah, I want to look good. Okay. So they put all this work in, right? Lights, chairs, mics, IFB for me. That's this thing I can hear the boys out of right here. Oh, dude, I'm talking about 8 hours, 6 hours. Okay, Ed's saying 6 hours of work, right? All right, well, there's 2 contingencies that happen now. And one of them is the Vietnam moment. The president didn't show up 5 minutes before my show. He showed up 15 minutes into my show.
Oh, no.
Like, that's the one thing we didn't plan for, like that he was going to be late. It was a matter of how early he would be to the show. So now we're like, okay, well, it's going to be live. The interview's live, and he's good with that, and we're good with that. But now I'm like, what do I do to the top of the show? And luckily in television, you plan contingencies, and Guy Benson's with me, and David Marcus is with me. And I don't know, the president could walk in at any minute. That's the plan. Like, he could walk into the room at any minute. And I'm like, I love it. I love it. I want that raw. I want that stuff. I just want him to walk in, right? And there's a crowd of people in there, so it'll be cool. And at some point, I guess, and I see I'm sitting there. And by the way, I got to see the team. There's a team that's traveling with him on Air Force One, and that was really cool. I got to meet Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who I'd never met. And we talked for a little bit, and it was awesome. Awesome guy.
On the show.
I said, I'd really love to have you on the show. He said, I would love to do the show. I say, great, thank you. Kelly Loeffler was there, and I know Kelly, Small Business Administration. And then Stephen Miller was there. And, I'm friendly with Stephen. We text. We've been on TV together a lot. But I'd never met Stephen in person. And so I walk up, and I'm like, I don't think we've ever met in person.
How tall is he?
Let me tell you something.
Yeah, how tall is he?
Not that tall. Not that tall.
All right.
Not that tall. He's way different in person. And I don't know how to describe that. Like,
Loose?
he's just so severe on TV. Everybody knows that. That's a good word for him, right? Severe.
Yes.
He's severe on TV. Stern, sharp, cutting, don't want to debate him. He's a super nice guy in person, like almost bashful, you know? And right now the world is calling Steven like Heinrich Himmler. Like I've seen some of these people saying that he should. Is this an elected official who said this? Or is it, who is it? Oh, it's Rick Wilson of the Lincoln Project said he needs to be the first one at the Nuremberg trials. the Nuremberg trials of immigration enforcement. But anyway, I love talking to Steven, and I said, hey, man, I actually would love a 45-minute sit-down with you because you have become the villain of the world. And I'm just sitting there talking to him, and he's a human being, and he's a different human being than he comes across on TV. I just think he'd be a fascinating interview. Fascinating. If he would be that guy, he might turn it back on the minute there's a camera. I don't know. But I texted with him. Steven, we want you. 45 minutes. The real Stephen Miller.
Let's do it.
So anyway, President is
not in the middle of a snowstorm.
So the room starts filling up. Yeah. Doing all this in the middle of a snowstorm is like taking everything, all this logistics, and just adding 10 degrees of difficulty on top of all of this.
Did you sleep?
I mean, you think it's more than 10? Well, I hope the audience is following along. I'm going to tell you about the Vietnam moment and answer Dan's major question, why are we standing so far apart? My flight to Iowa was its own rodeo. Delay, switch, all these different things. I landed in Omaha, Audible, not Des Moines, fly into Omaha. I landed in Omaha at 3 a.m. Got a hotel, got into bed at 4 a.m., woke up the next morning at about 8, I think it was, and hit the road to Des Moines, which is about a 2-hour drive. So then last night was supposed to fly back from Des Moines to Dallas. No, cancel. Delay, cancel. Got a hotel in Des Moines. Had a 5 a.m. flight today to be back here in time. Woke up at 3 because you got to get to the airport at 4, all that stuff. And Ellie has a text, flight cancel. I'm like, oh my gosh. I got an Ellie story for you too. And
she's still there.
And so she's somewhere around here. I'm sure sitting in the lap of luxury. I'll tell you about that. So, by the way, halfway into this, I remembered I have like the highest status you can get on American, which I never really use. Apparently, I can call this number, and they'll put me on any flight, whatever's next.
Wow, must
and
be
I didn't
nice.
know that. All this time, I'm sitting here struggling what flight should. They're like, you don't need to do this. Like, we will put you on the next flight going out. And I'm like, really? Didn't work. So this morning, I got a Southwest flight to St. Louis, then got on a flight in St. Louis to Dallas, and literally landed. You saw me walk in. She heard her name called like Tinkerbell. Somebody's running ring something, and she appears.
Beetlejuice.
Oh, here she comes. So today, I have no status on Southwest. How about this? Okay, the flight from St. Louis to Southwest is booked full, right? Southwest to Dallas, St. Louis to Dallas. And they get on the thing, and then like, if you're boarding group 5, you need to check your bag. And I turned to Ellie. I'm like, what group are we? Looked at our phones, and she's group 5, and I'm group 4.
Wow.
I'm like, ooh. I go, why don't you go pay? Because you know in Southwest you can pay to board first, whatever they call it. I go, why don't you go pay? Make sure we board right away so that when we get to Dallas and try to make the show, our bags are here, we're ready to go. She goes, yeah, good idea. She goes, okay, and she goes to Southwest, and she comes back. I'm like, what boarding group are we? And she's like, I'm priority. Me too? And she's like, no, I didn't do you. I'm like, you bought yourself priority and you left me boarding group 4?
Way to go, Ellie.
And I'm banging out this monologue on my phone that I want to do today on the show. I mean, I tell the staff, Ellie's doing the monologue today at 3 Central because I'll be fishing my bag out of baggage claim at Love Field. But she, meanwhile, boards the plane first, literally first. She boarded the plane first. You know how Southwest is. They board 50 people in wheelchairs and pre-boarding.
She's before all that.
1. It's like that Key and Peele skit.
Yeah.
You remember the Key and Peele skit? Guy's boarding group 1, and he's literally the last guy that boards the plane. That's how it feels on Southwest. You're boarding group 1. But that doesn't mean anything. That means you're the 75th person to board the plane. But Ellie was right up there, buddy. I mean, okay. So back to this, before I got distracted by the travel thing. All right. So I see the room starting to fill up with the Stephen Millers and the Scott Bessons and the handlers. And I'm like, ooh, it's getting close. The president's coming in. And they're like, take a break. The president's coming in. I'm like, okay. I'm going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with the president of the United States. Commercial break, 5 minutes, right? They run in, all the cameramen and everybody, and they go, he wants to stand. I'm like, what? He doesn't want to sit for the interview. He wants to stand.
Oh, no.
And this is the Vietnam moment. I learned later it's not the first time that it's happened. Apparently, he did it in Vietnam with Sean Hannity. They set up a whole set. They had it beautifully lit. They had the camera set up, the chairs. And he comes in, he goes, let's stand. And they're all like, yeah, let's
you
stand.
Got a collective groan
and
from
so
the
that's what
cameraman.
happened. So we were blocked and lit for a sit-down interview. And then we decide to stand. So they come in, they just raise everything. They raise the cameras, they raise the lights, and he waltzes in like, we good? And these guys are like, yeah, we're good. They're just shoving stuff up.
So it looks
like, it's all good.
It
Whatever.
looks better.
So that's why we
further apart on chairs. You mean?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Got it.
Yeah. He and I joked about it. Why are we so far apart? He's like, what is this, COVID again?
That I know that video that I think Ellie probably took and posted on Instagram. It was a behind the scenes of you two, and you can see the X's marked on the floor, and it just looks even further away when you get the cameras further away from you. It looks like you're 15 feet apart from each other.
It works. I will tell you that. Honestly, I think about that stuff because you, in an interview, you want to connect, right? And my goal in an interview, even if I'm challenging somebody, is to actually get to the real person, get past the talking point, get to the real person. And a lot of that is really nonverbal. And that makes, remote interviews very, very difficult. But like nonverbal communication is 80% of what we do. Eye contact, body language, even proximity, how you're talking to it. It all reads. We're all reading it constantly. That's why you need to look people in the eye, Patrick. And, I worried about that. Like, how's it going to feel this far apart? And the truth is, I feel like the president was so relaxed and comfortable in that conversation. I mean, I'm not trying to pat myself on my back, but I've never seen him smile so much. This is my third time to interview him, and this is the most laughing and smiling he's ever done.